We're back with the Success Blueprint. There's Morgan, my partner. I'm Jason, and we're here with Summer today. Summer's awesome. She's been on our team for 5 years. We were just talking about that, how time flies when you're having fun. So we're happy to have Summer here. She is a fantastic agent on the team. And as far as success goes, we think she is a great example of what real estate can and should be, just with her hard work, perseverance, and everything. And so we're excited to hear her story today. Hey, Summer.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course.
It's so fun.
It is fun. So take us back a little bit of kind of, I don't know how far back you want to start, but take back on your story and kind of give a little background on you.
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Summer Andersen, and I was born and raised in Idaho. I grew up in St. Anthony, went to college at ISU, and kind of ended up settling in Idaho Falls. So I've got 3 beautiful kids that keep me very, very busy. And started real estate 5 years ago. This was the first team that I joined, and I never left, and really glad that I did.
We are too.
Yeah, it was a tough decision for sure when you're starting, because I didn't know anything about real estate, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my license. So I was kind of just...
Most real estate agents don't.
Yeah.
That's why they get into real estate.
Yeah. I didn't know really what the job was. Like, we had a really good friend that was our agent, and I, had talked to him a little bit, but I didn't really understand what the actual job was until I
And then you got in and said, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah. So when I started, I was trying to balance home life and work, and I think for the first 6 months, all 3 of us were like, I don't know if this is going to work for her.
I don't know.
I don't know if this is for her. So I was having a hard time figuring it out. And then I remember, I think it was about New Year's, I was like, I'm either all in or I'm out. I can't keep doing this half in, half out thing. So we got a coach, and I dove right in, and it was a really good decision. It worked out well. So
awesome. I don't know how long ago I remember having a conversation with you at Maddie Wharton's cabin up in Island Park, and just kind of saying of what you wanted out of it.
Yeah.
And I remember that conversation still, and just thinking, she's got it all together. She knows what she wants. She knows she's got a goal in mind, and she's going for it.
Well, it took me a long time to figure out what that was, though. That was the hard part for me, because I didn't know. I just didn't know what I wanted from it. Like, do I actually want to do this? Do I don't want to do it? And then my big thing was, what you guys are always really good at pinpointing with the new agents, is what's your why. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm doing any of this. This sucks. This is hard. Yeah. So once I was able to really pinpoint exactly what that was, then it flew off after that. So it was good.
When you and I chatted about goals, you kind of skim across that, but you did have some goals.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it's, we can always pass anything but we were talking a lot about Atlas at the time, and you wanted to make sure that, and you can go into that, but you wanted to make sure that he had the very best care and life possible. Yeah,
absolutely. So, I mean, for those that don't know, I'm single mom, and my middle son, who's now 11 and a half, is severely autistic. So the idea of what happens to him, if I'm not able to take care of him, or if something happens to me, is the most terrifying thing that keeps me up at night. So that was a huge financial motivator for me, because I was like, I don't want, under any condition, my son to end up, in a bad situation, in a state home, something like that. He needs to be taken care of. And so that's, Atlas runs my life. So he's why I do pretty much everything I do.
So you went to school, St. Anthony, then what?
So then I went to college at ISU. I worked in motorsports for a long time. I graduated high school, and I just was a little bit lost. So I took a gap year that ended up being about a year and a half. So I worked sales in motorsports. So I did parts. Okay. I know, it's so random.
Part sales.
That's
cool.
So I worked at 3 different dealerships, which those relationships I made early on in my life have benefited me hugely now. So then I went to college. I met my husband, Adam, got married. I finished college.
How old were you at this time when you got married?
I think I was 22. So I was young. I was really young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for this part of the country,
maybe
that's
23.
That's
Yeah.
about average.
Yeah, but I look at it now and I was like, I was a baby. What was I doing?
Maybe I could have had a little more experience.
Yeah, for sure. But it was a great decision. So I married Adam. I had my oldest son, Dash, and I graduated college. And I was so lucky at that point that I had the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom right out the gate. So I didn't use my college degree. Okay. So I was a stay-at-home mom for all of 9 years, I think. Okay. And then in 2018, 8 weeks after my third child, my daughter, Lake, was born, Adam was killed while snowmobiling in an avalanche. And so I found myself in a very difficult situation because I was, had a newborn, had a special needs son, and a 6-year-old. And Adam was the provider, protector, everything. And so I was just like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? So that was when then COVID hit, and I was just really kind of scrambling. Lake was a little bit older, so I was like, okay, she's old enough, she can go to daycare. I need to figure out what I'm doing because I can't. I'm floundering here, and so that was when I actually, this is funny. I had a friend call me and she's like, I was just thinking about this. You would be so good at real estate. Have you ever thought about taking the classes?
Really?
Yeah.
That's how it started.
That was literally how it started. So I got off the phone with her. I looked up the classes, and even during COVID, they still had some in-house classes here in town, and they held it at a hotel. So we were all social distanced or whatever. And
everyone had their masks on.
Yeah. And it was hard because I think it was like 6 to 9 or 10 p.m. and I could not find childcare for my kids. Oh, yeah. So I would drive my kids to St. Anthony and then come back, go to class, and then drive back and pick them up and come home. So I did that every night for a couple of weeks and then got my license. And once I was taking the classes, I was like, oh, I kind of like this. Like, this is really interesting to me. And so, yeah, then I met with Morgan, and I was straight up honest with him when I met him. I was like, I don't know what I can do for you because I have my hands full at home. Like, I don't know. I will never be able to be your 9-to-5 agent that's available all the time. And he was great. Like, he was so great. He was like, we completely understand. And we've been friends on social media, so you kind of were aware of my situation. So is that
how you found Morgan then?
Social media. Yep.
Okay.
He had posted, we're looking to hire. And so I'd reached out to him, and I'd been talking to a few other teams, and he was like, come in, let's meet. And I was like, okay. And
I have a note here that says Morgan was great. And you said that 3 times?
3 times. Are you taking tally marks?
Well, I was just going to ask you, you interviewed other teams and Morgan. So what did Morgan, how did he win you over? That's awesome.
Honestly, I think it was just the compassion for the situation. Yeah. And, I was like, I've been a stay-at-home mom. I haven't been working for forever, and I don't physically know how I can do it. Looking back on it now, like, my confidence in what I was capable of was pretty low because I already felt so overwhelmed with my life as it was. Yeah. Like, it was really, really hard. I mean, it still is hard. Yeah. So I was just like, I don't know what I can do for you. And he came at it like, we can help you. Like, we have support. We have people that can help you. I can show you what you need to do. Yeah. Like, let's talk about not even just real estate sales. Let's talk about other goals. Like, what else can we do to better your life? And so that was exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for support. And I mean, I've told you guys this many times, but I don't feel like I have a lot of support in a lot of areas of my life. Going through the situation of being a widowed single mom, like, I felt very, very alone. And so this team has been a beautiful thing for me because when people ask how you're doing, I'm like, I'm doing so much better. I have amazing people that I can call, like, if I'm in a situation, and I've had to so many times call and say, I can't get somewhere, I can't open the store, or I blew a tire, or whatever it is. And no matter what, I've never had anyone on this team say, like, sorry, you're out of luck, like, quit bugging me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we got you.
One thing that's crazy is to tell you, well, 2 things. I think they're crazy. If you ask me what my kids' birthdays are, I have to think about them. But I remember going to Costa Rica. I've told you this. It was the same day that Adam passed away. Yeah. And I only met Adam once or twice. But January 10th,
yep.
I've always remembered that day. I don't know why. It's kind of crazy. So
me too, man. So.
when you came in and we chatted, for some reason that always sticks out in my brain. And when you came in and chatted, I do remember talking about that situation, and in my head I thought, I was like I'm gonna need this person, and I have, and you've helped me when my dad passed away, and we were able to chat about those sort of things, and it kind of comes full circle because of that. And so anyway, I appreciate that, and also being a good friend. So it was kind of maybe mutual, and you know, and it was just kind of those two things, I think, are, I don't believe in coincidences, but I think that they're just an odd thing that I would remember this so very well, and then just, you know, that feeling. So anyway, little side deal that I figured that I would share. But
no, I don't think it was a coincidence, but I definitely think maybe it was meant to be. Like this was where I was meant to land for so many reasons. And I've met incredible people, and I don't regret any of it. Like it's been great. We were joking about how agents, you know, jump around a lot. Agents, that's pretty typical behavior. Like they move brokerages, they find teams that work better for them, or splits or caps or whatever. And I'm like, no, this is home for me. Like you guys have earned my trust over and over and over, and I can't imagine ever finding anything like it. It's special what you guys have done with this team.
Well, don't ever feel like you're the one benefiting, because we have definitely benefited 100-fold from you being on the team, for sure. Not to just gush, but fantastic. I mean, as far as just your joy, your energy, your everything you have that you've been able to bring with the things that you've gone through is incredible and amazing, and I just look up to you. I really do.
Jason, I've talked about that a few times we're like, man, somebody who's so positive and carries things so well has had a lot of reasons to not be positive and to just not move on. And you do a good job of not moving on, but just moving through life and just understanding that, I mean, life happens to a lot of us, but life's really, you know, thrown you some curves, and you've learned to ride those curves pretty well, and you do a great job at it.
It's so true. I mean, so many people have not gone through anything that you have, and still have, you know, they seem unhappy all the time. And I know it's not all roses in your household and that, but at the same time, you've been able to kind of push through that, and we notice that and see what a great person you are. So yeah, we're grateful that you're on our team, for sure.
So when you started, you were saying that I remember when you were part-time and you're trying to figure that out. What kind of, and I remember just the switch. It wasn't even well, I'll just come in a little more often. It was like, you pretty much brought all your crap in, and you're like, here I am. Moved in. I need a desk, and I'm going to be here for a while. So what happened there, if you could go into that?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. I actually don't really know specifically if there was one thing that tipped the scale. I think I'm very much like, once I've made up my mind about something, like that's what I'm doing. Like that's my nature, I guess. And I think I finally just got to that point where I was like, okay, we're going to do this. And I think in my mind, if I remember right, I gave myself 6 months. I was like, I'm going to push really, really hard for 6 months. Because doing what I was doing, I'd sold a handful of homes. I got really lucky right off the bat and got, you know, a few contracts within that first 5-6 months. And so that's definitely motivating. Like I see other agents that struggle for months and months with no sales. But I mean, 2 weeks in, I had my first contract. And so I think that definitely helped. If I'd gone 6 months without it, I would have been like, no way.
I'm out.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to go full time for 6 months and see what I'm capable of, because I was like, I feel like I'm good at this. And that was the one thing that I was kind of thriving off of. I was like, I feel like I'm pretty good at this. So I'm going to just really push. So I hired a nanny, got my kids figured out, and just buckled down. And getting a coach, Andrea, was really, really helpful, because she kept me super accountable for all the calls, appointments, all of that. And the best part about the coaching is she would keep me accountable for my personal life too. Like, aside to my real estate goals, on the exact same page would be like, okay, did you take your kids to go do this weekend? Because that was a goal. Did you plan this trip with your kids? Because that's as important as you making all these calls. And that for me was the ticket. Like, because I said, I have to have that balance, and this is as important to me as succeeding here. So
there's someone to report to every day.
Yeah. The accountability. Yeah. That was really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of coaches just take the approach of just business, but the Rieger group that we were with at the time, they definitely take a more holistic approach. Which
for me, and I don't know if that's just specific to my situation, but over the last 5 years, I can always tell when I am happier at home and feeling more balanced, my business is flourishing. And that is always how it goes. So sometimes if business is low, then I'm like, what do I need to focus on personally at home to get that right energy, I guess, to like bring it back up? And I don't know if that's just me. Maybe you guys recognize that, but that's always been a pattern in my life.
No, I think that if you are out of balance at home, you're going to be out of balance at work. And that's where, my coach that I'm coaching with now, Dustin Runyon, that's what he talks about, is what goes on in your personal life is going to come out at work, no matter what. No matter how you try to hide what's going on in your private life, it is going to show up.
Yeah, that's why I love all of Dustin's like coaching stuff, because he's really good at pulling in the personal side. It's not just... you got to make 1,000 calls. It's like, okay, like what's going on with you and your mental health? Like, how are you doing personally? And then, so.
When you jumped in, fully, what explain that? Like, what does it take? What did you learn? What did you discover during that whole process?
I had to discover to sit still, to sit at a desk, something I still very much struggle with. I am just the type of person, I got to be just moving. So like sitting still, going through leads, making the awful calls, doing mailers, like whatever it was, like that was something I really had to practice, was the sitting still part, which still not great at, but that was hard for me. And, just like I said, setting the goals, like breaking it down into the little steps, doing the time blocking, prioritizing things, like maybe not going to that lunch, because I should probably get caught up here.
How can you look at me for that?
Because, this is really funny. So when I first started, I was, getting all these invitations to go to lunch from lenders and from title and from all these people. And I remember coming into your office and being like, dude, like everyone wants to go to lunch all the time. And you're like, you can say no. And I was like, oh, is that an option?
Really?
I can say no. So I started saying no. So I always joke with like the few people that I do take the time out of my schedule to go with. I'm like, you made the cut. Not everyone else made the cut.
You're good. I think I went the other way on that and just said no every time. So that's funny.
People were banned if they were to take you to lunch or offer you things. Jason banned them from the office.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people say they didn't think that I liked them because I kept saying no to everything they ever asked. So
it's like, no, I just want to get something done.
Exactly. Because that's the 2 hours I'll never get back, right?
Exactly.
So, what was some of the goals that you set in real estate that you feel like you're able to work towards, or get closer to achieve?
Yeah. So obviously there was like my financial goal, and then for me the number of homes sold was very motivating to me, because I remember I was like, if I can sell one house a month, then I'm killing it. Like that's going to be perfect for me. I don't need to do more than that. And then once I surpassed that, like pretty quick, I mean, before the first half of the year, I'd hit my yearly goal, and I was like,
You're
oh
like,
my
hey.
God, that was awesome. So then having to keep pushing that up, that was motivating for me. I mean, I am not a competitive person at all, which is really funny being in this industry because I just want everyone to win. But for my own goals, that's more motivating than beating somebody else.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Something that I've noticed a lot is you do have a ton of grit and determination. Like you mentioned earlier, like when I decide to do something, I want to do it. Where does that come from? Like, is that from young, or has that always been the case, or is that just something that's come over time?
Yeah, it's probably, honestly, it was probably just from Adam dying because I feel like that's definitely hardened me in a lot of ways. You know, naturally, like I've had to just figure it out, and I don't have a lot of time to waste time. Wasting time drives me crazy. I'm like, that is my hottest commodity. Like that, my time is more important to me than my money. Like, because I just don't have a lot of it. So that's why I'm like, I need to either do it or I don't do it. Like, if a relationship works for me, it works or it doesn't. Like friendships, people, situations, anything. It's either yes or a no. So it's probably
awesome.
just more time conservation than grit, I think. I don't know.
Well, time either getting things done or times with your kids, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
kind of what it is.
Exactly.
And if I'm not doing that, then it's taking away from one of those.
Right. And for me, when I'm not with my kids, it costs me financially. Like I have to pay someone to be with my children. So if I'm going to be doing something, I'm not going to be wasting my time because it's literally costing me dollars. So
would you say that that's one of the, I'm sure that there's many others, but one of the bigger life lessons you've learned through that situation that you were thrown into, or
absolutely.
What's some of the more life lessons that you've learned?
I think your mindset has a lot more power than you think it does. You guys were being very complimentary and saying like, oh, you're still positive, you still have joy. And that reminds me of, I had this moment. It was before Adam's funeral. And obviously I was a hot mess. My house was a disaster. Like I still had laundry out that I'd been folding when I got the news. Like there was just tons of food that people had been bringing over, kids' toys everywhere. And my mom was at the house with me. And I just said, can you please put a sign on the door? Like, I don't want any visitors. Like I have to get this house in order. I need to clean. And I kind of had a little breakdown and I raised my voice. I think I startled my mom a little bit. And I like borderline screamed it. I just was like, I refuse to live a sad life. And I kind of just started repeating it. And I just kept saying, I refuse to live a sad life because it felt like there was no joy to be found. Like it was too dark to see outside of it. But I was like, this is not the life that I want for me. It's not the life I want for my kids. And I don't know what magic happened in that moment, but that's just something I said to myself over and over and over. I refuse to live a sad life. So I turned on some music and I cleaned my house, and my mom just was kind of in shock. She just was like, are you okay? I was like, no, but I refuse to live this way. I will not do it. And so for my kids, that's been, a big one too. When they get sadder, when they're grieving, it's hard to watch them go through that. That's probably the hardest part of my journey, is watching my kids struggle. But then I remind them how lucky we are, how fortunate we are. And that mindset, that's probably been the biggest one. Because if I sit and feel bad for myself, which sometimes I still do, to be honest, like I can throw one hell of a pity party like anytime. But the mindset is what determines everything. It's what determines your life. It determines your relationships, everything.
That's so amazing. I always hear of affirmations, right?
Yeah.
And how they can work. Sometimes you're like, am I really saying this to myself every day? But if it's something you believe, it works.
Absolutely.
If it's just something you're saying, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And then you're thinking it's cheesy, it's dumb, I'm never going to do this. But if it's something in your soul that you feel, then it works. It's pretty amazing.
Yep. No, I refuse to live a sad life. An affirmation that I did for a long time after that is I said, I refuse to let this destroy or define me. I will not let this destroy or define me. And I wrote that down. I wrote it about my kids. I think I gave like a news interview after the accident, and I said that a couple of times because it was just an affirmation. This will not destroy us. This will not destroy us. This will not define us. And looking at it now, obviously that's a huge part of our story, but my kids are happy. They're healthy. They're thriving. They're beautiful, crazy little people. And I'm like, you're not destroyed. This hasn't defined you. It's those affirmations, they have power. They work.
If anything, it's probably made them stronger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. My kids are tough. Like they can handle anything, and they handle it well.
That's awesome. So going through this and starting, and you said your first 6 months, you kind of superseded it.
Yeah.
Things are like, wow, I'm actually pretty good at this. People kind of like me when selling them homes.
Yeah.
And was it about that time that you kind of switched you over to more of the listing side and kind of the listing agent?
Yeah. Well, it was you. You came to me and you were like, hey, like, I know, I see what you're doing. Like, you're working hard. If you were to just do listings, you would have a little bit more freedom at home, because when you're a buyer's agent, it's hard to be showing houses all night and on the weekends. And so that was one idea that you brought to me, and I was like, yes, please. I hate showing houses till 8 p.m. and then getting home and barely seeing the kids before bed. So yeah, that was awesome, and I loved that. I love that. Listings are still my favorite. Like, I do both now, but I prefer listings for sure. It's so, I don't know, that's my bread and butter, I guess.
So what about listings do you like better than buyers? Just because we hear so many people say buyers are so much easier to work with because they're happy, it's good things, it's good information. It's look at this house, look, you got this house, congratulations. Whereas listings is like, hasn't sold yet. We need to drop the price. We got an offer, but it's a little lower than we wanted.
Or they're selling because of like a difficult situation, and they're a lot more anxious, and sometimes they're sad. Like, I've been to a lot of closings where they're crying, they're going through divorce, or it was their family home and they're sad to leave it. It just isn't as fun and exciting, but the emotional side of it is kind of what I like, because I feel like
helping him through this difficult time.
Yeah. And I hate saying I do real estate sales. Like, I never want to feel like a salesperson, and I don't want anyone that I'm working with to feel like I am a salesperson. Okay. And so I want to help people. That's like what I enjoy the most about selling houses, is I feel like I'm helping them. I'm taking care of them. I want to make sure they're safe and taken care of. So listings for me, that's more satisfying, I guess. Like, it's always so fun when someone's excited about buying a house. Like, don't get me wrong, that's amazing. But to get to this finish line and these people are, struggling or sad or whatever, and they feel like I took care of them, that's incredibly gratifying for me. I like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so when you started doing the listings, how long did you do listings?
Until I went part-time. That was all I did. But I had like the world's greatest mentor of all time. So
Me? Just kidding.
That's right.
No, I really like Jason is, he's amazing. He's so good at what he does. And so I got to shadow him for a few months before I finally went out on my own. And I remember going on my first listing appointment without him. I was like, are you sure you don't want to come with me? I'm scared. But I had the best teacher. And so, yeah, it was so fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot though. Like, we did a lot of houses and market was popping.
Yeah, there was a lot of homes.
There was
sold
a lot of
houses.
Homes. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Well, and I remember following up with those first few as well, just saying, hey, how's everything going? And none of them really said anything about the transaction. They just said, we love Summer. And I was like, okay, that was a good decision. That was a good thing. We're glad that she jumped on board with that because, it was definitely a good thing for us as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was super fun.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
So when you were crushing it in those 6 months, and then you go full time and you crush it there, and you're hitting your goals, and then you go into listings. Real quick, what was your degree in at college?
So it was for mass communications with an emphasis in public relations. And then I almost double majored, but I got a little lazy. If I would have taken one more class, I would have double majored in English. So kind of like a random compilation of things. I don't know.
How has it helped you in real estate?
It's helped me a ton. Yeah. So with mass communications degree, it was a lot of advertising, writing, that type of thing. And then obviously with my English degree, I did a lot of professional writing classes. I really, really enjoyed that. Sometimes I wish I would have pursued that a little bit more, but I just wanted to get out of there. So all of those things have helped me. You know, I never got to use those degrees. I went to school for a couple weeks and now I do this, but
that's like 90% of people have degrees.
Yeah.
So you're crushing it in real estate, become a listing agent, like one of the top agents in the area, you know, and our team is, I mean, there was a lot of listings at that time. Summer, really, what do you think, and you have to maybe gloat a little bit about yourself, which I know you're not going to love, but what separates you from agents that maybe fall apart or can't make it or fall behind, or, you know, I mean, we've talked about before this started about how long you've, you know, been with the team and how many agents you've seen come and go with the team, or how many agents you've seen and go just in the business in general. Like, what do you think is the difference?
Patience, perseverance, honestly, because I mean, it's what we do. We have variable income, right? So sometimes like you're killing it and other times you're not selling anything. So if you cannot learn to emotionally and financially ride those waves, and honestly, the emotional part of it is the hardest, because then once you start feeling down about it, you start feeling down about everything. And like we said, with the energy thing, like if you're feeling good, your business is flourishing.
Right.
So when you get low and then you're like, oh man, I suck at this, I'm never going to sell another house again, it's really hard to wait for that uptick. So for
that
me,
also affects your family life, right?
Absolutely.
So it goes both ways.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I've learned over the years, like, yeah, I'm slow right now, but while I'm slow, I have the opportunity to spend a little bit more time focused on other things, on my home life, on, you know, doing something for me, whatever it is, because I know it's going to come back up. And so I see and talk to other agents who, you know, they get the panic, like, I haven't sold anything in a while. How many do you have pending? And I'm like, actually, I'm pretty slow right now too, you know, but I'm not freaking out about it. I mean, it's a bummer when it's slow, but I know it always comes back.
That's a good mindset. I mean, is there things that you do even during the slow times that you still do during the, you know, the busy times?
Oh, yeah. I try to always just continue to like do the follow-up all the time. And sometimes when it gets a little bit slower, then I find, you know, some stuff that maybe I've been slacking on, like I can clean up my CRM, go through my emails, like, and be like, oh, okay. Like once I get that ball rolling, it always seems to, because I can be a little unorganized sometimes, but
that's understandable for sure. So what, so as you're going through this, obviously it seems like you're in a good place now from our vantage point. It seems like things are going well. So what would you say were the things that triggered that? Was it just relationship with some of the great friends you have? What were those triggers moving forward?
Well, I don't know. The last couple of years have been some of the best in the last 7.5 since Adam died. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying when I first started doing this. I feel like my self-esteem was pretty low. So doing this and succeeding in that's been good for my self-esteem. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I can do anything now. Like I did that. So that's been really good. Obviously grief therapy has been so instrumental for me and my children. That definitely helps. I feel like I'm finally in a really good place of peace with everything. And I've got a good, you know, balance with life and work, and I have amazing friends, and I don't know. Yeah. Just kind of a combination of all of it, you know, feels good to be here.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the therapy part of it. I think so many times people are hesitant or for whatever reason to seek help.
Yeah.
Or they do once and they don't click with a therapist, so they just kind of move on instead of trying to find one that fits them.
Yeah.
But I think that's so important for so many people.
Oh,
even if they're not going through something as traumatic or grief-ridden.
I always say, I think like counseling or therapy is the best form of self-care ever. It's so nice having an objective person to like give you honest feedback and set goals with, and, you know, just to be able to work out things that you can't necessarily talk to about your friends or your family members, or you don't want to talk to them about it. You know, it's like deepest, darkest thoughts you don't want to share with everybody. I just think it's the best form of self-care anyone can do.
I've had people, you know, it's a hard thing to go to. You know what I mean? You have to completely be vulnerable with yourself and to be able to go to, and you just tell people like if you don't want to call it a therapist, just call it a life coach.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah,
this
really.
person's going to give you a bird's eye view, and
Life coaches do very similar things, right?
they're going to call you out on your things that you're doing, but these guys are not just paid, for hype. They're paid, for the results and to help you maybe look back and reflect and to see why you think things through that lens or, that perspective.
Well, and what's nice about it is what you learn, then you can carry on. And I'm sure you experience this, but grief always comes in just waves. Like they're always consistent. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small, sometimes there's larger spaces in between them. And for me, the farther out I get from the initial trauma, the waves, sometimes I still have to stop and do just a self check-in. Why am I feeling this way today? What's going on? And it's I'm getting a grief wave. This is coming on today. This is why I feel this way. And I've learned how to pinpoint what that looks like. And it's not always just birthdays or holidays or death anniversaries or whatever. Sometimes it's just a Wednesday and, your kids are doing something really cute and the person that you wish you could share that with is gone, And so it's helpful.
Yeah. Somebody called me after my dad died, and you would know this, and I can't remember. It's like the patterns of grief or whatever, right? And so you feel these emotions, and I was like, nah, I think I'll be fine. and then all of a sudden, you just get so angry, or you just get so spiteful and resentful, and then I'm like, who is this guy? And it's crazy just that sometimes you can't help it. And back to circling I promise I won't break down, but when you have somebody to go through it that's experienced it, that you can relate it to, my poor wife, she's never gone through it. And so I'm like, the good news is I'll be able to help you.
Absolutely.
And just like you were able to help me, it's different. It's all the same to that person. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so Jason's been there as well. And it's interesting. Just, I don't know, the whole mental fog that you just think that you're mentally strong, that you can go through anything, and then you hit it and it's a roadblock. It's not just a fog, I guess. It's a thick fog that you need some help to navigate through. So, but
I love that. I'm just thinking you had mentioned the reason why you like to work with sellers and that. And I think part of that is because you're so good at it. You've been there. You know what they're going through. You have more empathy because of that. And you just want to be there for them like few people were there for you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's awesome. And they feel that. I know they do because I've talked to many of them, of your past clients that just rave about you because they felt that you really cared and that you really wanted the best thing for them. It's not just selling a house.
Yeah. No, that's genuinely what it is. I think that's the one thing I'm really bad at with this job is I get too emotionally invested. Yes, I am too emotionally invested in making sure that they're taken care of, and I want to control everything and make sure they're good. And sometimes when I can't do that, that's when I get mad.
Summer, what is now that we're talking about peaks and valleys, and now you're saying that you're kind of coming up to some more peaks in your life. What is maybe now your future goals or things that you want to you see yourself doing now, and as you evolve and you're regaining more confidence in different things, what is it that you are excited for next?
Ooh, that's a good question. Actually, I don't know. I kind of feel like I've landed at the goal a little bit. I worked really, really hard and I hustled for those years. And then it got to the point where I felt comfortable stepping away and doing it, part-time on the team. And it's been the best thing for me. I feel like all the work that I put in selling higher volume, being in the office all that time, it built the foundation for my business. And so now I'm able to be home and more available and still do my job and do it well at the same time. And I don't know, I kind of feel like I've arrived a little bit to where I was hoping to eventually be, even though I didn't know specifically what that looked like. Yeah. But it's just a really good place where I'm at right now. So I don't know what's next.
Just enjoy the moment.
Yeah, really.
Something to maintain just
If
where
I
you're
could
at.
maintain where I'm at. So I've been doing this for like 2 years, I think.
Yeah, it's been about that.
2?
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's been really, really good. It's been great. I'm just really happy.
We always
with
see
it.
people as they go part-time, so many people drop from doing, X amount of transactions to almost nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas you didn't do that. I mean, it did drop. It's going
yeah.
to, because you're spending less time doing it, but you
Right.
didn't drop off the face of the earth like so many people do.
Right.
And so what do you attribute to that? Is that just time blocking, or what is that? Or is it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so I'm doing probably half the volume, if not even like a few less than half the volume I was doing. But that was like another kind of a pivotal moment where it was like, I'm gotta pick one or the other.
Yep.
And it had just gotten to the point where I was working too much. I was missing major things with my kids. I mean, I had a meltdown in Jason's office because I had to watch Dash's like taekwondo belt ceremony outside from the window because I had crying kids, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm missing too much. And so that was hard. So I knew when I did that, I would be making a financial sacrifice, and I was okay with that. And so for me, the balance is worth it because I'm home more. Yeah, I'm not making as much money as I was when I was full-time, 100 miles an hour, but I'm happier. My children are happier.
Yeah.
Our
That's
relationships are better. I feel more balanced living my life this way. Not that I was, that I didn't like being full-time, because I really, really did, but I think it ran its course for my home life.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. You're able to recognize that. So many people don't. they don't find that balance there, either one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm working too hard. Okay, I got to quit, and then just go this way. And then it's like, oh wait, I still need some money, or I still need something coming in. And so it's awesome that you're able to
They
kind
don't
of find
shift
that.
down. They just throw it into neutral and coast a little bit. And then
they
they're
don't
like,
shift
oh,
down,
whoa,
they-
wait a second. And then
Yep. They
you got
just
to
shut
ramp
down.
it back down. Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. So through this process over the last 5-10 years, what have you learned that you want what are the most important lessons you want your kids to know out of this?
you could do hard things.
Okay.
Even when you don't feel like it, you absolutely can do hard things. When things feel impossible, there's always a way to figure it out. Like I hope they see that, and I hope they look back on their childhood and recognize that. Like, okay,
Yeah.
if my mom could do what she did, she went to work and she had Atlas, and she still took us to do fun things, and I had a good childhood. I pray every day that's what they think. Please, hopefully.
Don't we all?
Yeah, I hope them seeing that will instill the confidence that they need to go through difficult things, and you can do it. You know, never doubt that. So that's what I hope.
That's awesome. Yeah, because everyone's going to go through it. It's different for everybody.
Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes it's not as visible as what you went through, but sometimes everyone goes through those difficult times.
Oh, everyone's going through something.
Yeah.
Always, no matter what.
So true.
I always think that if I see someone being really rude in public, I'm like, they're probably having a really, really hard day, because there were times when you were talking about being angry. That was like my one stage of grief I got kind of stuck in for a while. I was a very angry human for a long time.
You angry? I can't
I
picture
know,
that.
right? And that's why it was so weird, because I would tell my counselor that. I was like, I am not an angry person by nature, but I am so pissed. I am so mad. And, maybe I was rude to people, and I didn't mean to be, because I had big stuff going on underneath. So you never know what other people are going through. Everyone's going through something.
Well, I've always felt like you've handled it well. And I mean, there was a lot of times that I thought, man, sometimes you just got to suck it up and do it. Sometimes, your problems aren't as bad as somebody else's. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
And so there's times that we've talked, or, I've been in funks or moods, and when you'd come in the office, we would, things would happen, and I would be like, man, if she can be happy, I can be happy. If she can make others happy, I can make others happy. And so I love the mindset thing. I mean, I refuse to live a sad life is freaking awesome. Like, that's a cool
that's pretty
thing
amazing.
to pop into your head. So,
And to recognize that fairly early on in the process.
Yeah.
I mean, that probably was just a week or so later, right? And then, so
I was probably 4 or 5 days, but I scared my mom when I started screaming it. I won't do it.
Yeah. That's amazing. That is awesome that you recognize that so early on in the process. It's changed your kids' lives for sure.
I hope so. Yeah. But Adam was, he was a funny guy. Like he just had this like enormously huge personality and was happy just all the time. He was never one to be upset or mad or, he was just constantly joking. And one thing about him, he would just randomly say all the time, I love my life. Like for no reason. Like he'd be sitting on the couch eating Oreos and he'd be like, I love my life.
Oreos are so good.
Yeah, I know. And I just, that's been like one thing that I've carried with me where I try to emulate that a little bit. Like I want to love my life just so deeply like he did, to where it would just like pop out. And you want to hear the craziest thing? So Lake the other day was just like hanging out. She was playing with the dog and wasn't even talking to anyone. And she just goes, oh, I love my life. And I just like stopped and I just stared at her and she was like, why are you looking like that? And I was like, oh, sweetie, you remind me of someone I used to know. Yeah. And, it's just, I don't know. I just want to be
That's so cool.
more like that. Like I want to just say, I love my life instead of like, holy shit, my life is hard.
Well, like you mentioned, right? Gratitude in the moment, it's hard.
Yeah.
But doing it can be life-changing for sure. Yeah.
Well, man, it's been awesome. The one thing that we didn't get to that I want to go before we let you go, that I want to go over is when Adam passed away, you started a nonprofit.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And that was also a main goal and a big thing that you were, super passionate about and still are passionate about. But that was one thing that I was excited for you to learn more about, as just the good that you could do out of a crisis. So maybe let's talk about that. And when I try to explain it to people, I don't ride snowmobiles, so I butcher it. And they're like, cool story, bro. So that I can share this part, at least with the podcast, go through that. What is that? What does that mean to you? Why did you do it? Everything.
Yeah. So I mentioned before I went to college, between high school and college, I worked in motorsports. So I sold like Avalanche safety gear. Adam was huge into motorsports. He loved a dirt bike, 4-wheel, snowmobile, all the things. He was just constantly go. So he'd been out of snowmobiling for quite a while, and he had some buddies that were going. So he started going just a couple of times, and I specifically remember telling him, I'm like, if you're going to be going, we need to get you a Navi bag. You got to have all the gear. And he was like, I want to be fine. Just like most guys, like, no, it's not going to happen to me. And so when he was killed, none of anyone in his party, including him, had any gear. They didn't have bags. They didn't have beacons. They didn't have anything. And so when he was buried, they could not find him because nobody had any equipment, even when search and rescue got there. Then it was too late. It was too dark. The snow was too unstable. So search and rescue had to call me and tell me they would have to come back the next morning. And that was like the most excruciating night ever. I was like, and I remember being on the phone just being like, you can't leave him there, but also you can't risk other people's lives too. Yeah. So when the next morning they went up, the search hadn't even started yet, and the search and rescue dog found him before the search started. So he had been buried not very far underneath the snow, like where they had their fire set up. And so that was extremely difficult to hear, knowing that if they had just been prepared, if he had been prepared, who knows what? Yeah, and who knows what the outcome would have been. I don't know if he would have been alive. I don't know what the circumstances could have been, but that would have saved me and my family and his family a night that was excruciating. So there were so many things about that whole circumstance that just kind of lit a fire for me, where I was like, that was completely unnecessary. This whole situation could have been prevented entirely. At the bare minimum, that evening could have been different. And so some of my really good friends at Action Motorsports, they also happen to be my neighbors. So I had worked with them in the past, and they were my neighbors. And they had been so good about coming to the house pretty frequently family. And so it was the night after the funeral, they were there, and I just said, I want to do something. Like, what if I just like bought some beacons with my own money and people could take them out to rent them? And he was like, I think that's a great idea. Steve Dutcher at Action Motorsports. So it was like 2 weeks later, he had put together a whole open house fundraiser for that. And we raised so much money that we were able to buy a bunch of packs. So, and the equipment is expensive. I mean,
course.
$1,000
That's why
plus.
people don't do it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Avi bag, shovel, probe, beacon. So I was able to do that and get all these packs for people to use for free. And, you know, we were so fortunate. A lot of news outlets reached out, so they spread the word, and people were just donating like crazy for this. And not only that, we got enough money and approval from the Forest Service to put up warning signs in Island Park where Adam was killed.
Much needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, there were so many deaths, especially that year. There were quite a few, especially with here
Snow
locally.
conditions and that were
Yeah,
terrible.
they were really bad. And so it has like the website where they can check the forecast. And, you know, another thing Adam's party they didn't know the conditions were so bad that day. So those signs are still up in Island Park and up, where's it? What's it called?
Wyoming?
No, like Swan Valley area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in Island Park and in Swan Valley. And all those bags are still like available to use. You can rent them in Island Park and at Action. So they're totally free, completely free. So
Wow.
if people
That's
don't
awesome.
have them or can't afford them, they can just go and get them. And we were able to sponsor a few people with scholarships for the Abbey courses to like go get all trained and all of that. So it was just so good for me and my grief, because I had a lot of people come to me. And I just remember saying another thing that I would say. I was like, if one person comes home that wasn't supposed to come home or wouldn't have come home otherwise, this is all worth my effort.
Absolutely.
This is completely worth it. And there were so many times where I had people come to me and say, I heard your story and I ride differently because of what you said. And that was just like everything.
That's amazing.
To me. Everything. I would eat it up. I was like, oh, I'm maybe making a difference. Maybe this person wouldn't have made it home to their family if I hadn't gotten way out of my comfort zone and talked about it.
But hopefully maybe they're riding with other people that they can be
Yeah.
examples with, and it kind of can just spread a little bit.
And that was one thing too. Like, I refuse to ride with anyone that isn't prepared, that we're doing the beacon checks in the parking lot before we go. And so in the years that have followed, this is kind of weird, because at first I had no problem talking about it, going to all the things, listening to all the stories. But as more time has passed, it's much more triggering for me now to hear it and to talk about, to like watch the Avalanche videos, like to talk about people digging their buddies out, that type of thing. So it's gotten so much more difficult for me emotionally that I've had to do a self-check and put down some boundaries and say, I will attend this, but I will not attend, the showings of the videos and, the stories, that type of thing. So Action Motorsports has been so amazing about giving me that space, and they kind of handle a lot of it for me. Which has been really good. So the program's still up and running without me having to do a whole lot of hands-on stuff. So they get full credit for just being incredible people for doing that.
So to maintain those packs, and is that something they still take donations for?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they can go to Action, or where can they go to donate?
Action is probably the best place. Yep. Okay. Steve Dutcher there. He just handles a lot of that for me, and
he's awesome.
Yeah, he is. He's so great, and just like I said, so supportive. So I pitch in when needed, but for the most part, I've got the ability now to protect my peace a little bit and be less involved with the educational part on it. So
awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I really appreciate, one, you taking a chance on us and being a good friend, being an amazing real estate agent, and keeping our reputation going, and just being one of those people who we can count on, and that we love it when you come in the office. We love seeing you. I'm grateful and fortunate to call you one of my really good friends. And I seriously, I could have another 3 hours of just great things. Probably wouldn't be able to be aired with some of the laughter and jokes and things like that. But really, all in all, thank you for being you, and thanks for coming on and talking about this stuff. And I know that it's hard. So thank you for being you, and I think you're awesome.
Well, thank you guys for believing in me and trusting me and giving me space here, because I like it. And you guys have changed my life in a lot of ways, and I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.